had to move. It was too hot. So let me back up a second and get back to the Gospel of Mary. So there were 21 Gospels written, but only 4 were incorporated by the Council of Nicaea for the Roman version of the Bible. And the other 17 were ignored. They were buried. The early Christians and Gnostics now still holds on to those documents, but there was a Gospel of Mary that was lost. We weren't ready for that wisdom. So it was found in 1897, and then another copy was found in 1945. And then due to those documents being found in 1969, the Pope decided to erase the prostitute title for Mary. You know, they had called her a prostitute in the 6th century, and there's a lot of stories that I've heard. I don't know much about Christianity. I'm not an expert, that Jesus was celibate, and she was basically erased and then called a prostitute and minimized. But the Pope brought her back as an apostle, and then in 2016, Pope Francis made her the lead apostle. Okay, so that all happened last fall, and I was shown that last fall, and then this last year around my birthday, I started, a lot was being shown to me about, okay, well, this initials are JC, and then, oh, but Mom, and then I heard from my daughter, so your birthday is June 25th. I'm like, did Jesus have a wife? Like, I even Googled, did Jesus have a wife? Like, I seriously did not know. And then since I Googled that, then a lot of YouTube videos came up in my feed about Gospel of Mary. And that's when I learned some about that the Gospel of Mary was about self-love. Well, and then not need for the church. But 2,000 years ago wasn't the time for self-healing. When the Mayan calendar cycle ended in 2012, the cycle that started is the time for self-healing. So, wisdom comes through like that. It'll come through a little bit and seep in, and it'll come through a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's how we make progress as a collective of souls, is slowly but surely integrating wisdom and allowing our bodies, our nervous systems to upgrade and be able to handle higher and higher vibrating souls. Because the higher level emotions like love, compassion, enlightenment, being an emotion, vibrate a lot higher and are much more transformative than shame, guilt, and fear. So, I started putting all those pieces and accepting it. And also, like, my ex-husband's great-grandfather was the top Sephardic rabbi in Haifa. People still pray at his grave, and I've been talking to his soul for years, helping me kind of understand the wisdom and dive into some Jewish texts. And so, my ex-husband's Israeli. I've lived in Israel. My 3 kids are half Israeli. And so I'm super connected to Israel. And, right now Israel's in the fight for their life. Right? Only 10 countries voted for a 1-state solution, America included, but all the other countries want a 2-state solution. But Israel is necessary. Israel is necessary for our spiritual growth, and the spiritual world, our energy bodies, our souls, are what plan and orchestrate our physical world, the 3D world. So all that was shown to me. And also, I started doing podcasts in June, and the first podcast I talked to, he's a evolutionary astrologer and archetypal psychologist, and specializes in divine feminine. Science and synchronicities, right? And knows a lot about Mary Magdalene, a lot. And so he's read my whole astrological chart, and they'll be coming on my website, going to be published next week in late September. And goes over, he's like, oh yeah, it's all over your chart that you had to take on severe trauma to be able to pull out all this wisdom and pull out what I call soul logic. Is that there's a way of things, and we've lost that. And because we've lost that there's a way of things, we've lost traditionalism, conservatism, that's the way of things in general. We need improvements for sure. But women, we're designed for inside work. Self-reflection is feminine. Forgiveness, compassion, nurturing, that's inside work. Self-love, inside work. Men are physiologically designed for outside work. Stronger, can put aside their emotions, strategize, plan, and they're designed to provide and protect. And it is the way it is. And when I spend more of my time, my right brain, my hormones are balanced. When men spend more of their time in their left brain, their hormones are balanced. What do you know? But, people, we had to explore ourselves, and we gave all the collective time to do that. But now it's time to remember self-love. Remember what Charlie died for. Remember the glowing light that he was and is in the sky now, in our hearts now. He's always around me, talks to me all the time. It's beautiful. Such amazing energy. And his wife, wow, what a powerhouse, strength of a feminine, beautiful woman. Prayers just that family all day long for all the beauty that they brought, and to remind us how beautiful a young family is and how much love that brings to all of us, and what a gift it is to observe it. So Mary Magdalene. So why haven't I talked to Jason yet? There's a reason, and it appears to be very serious. So in the fall, I was shown a lot of visions, and I go over it all in my book. But when I wrote that book, I didn't have all this understanding because I published in April of 2025. But anyway, so I was shown that when my intuition told me, okay, it's time to reach out to Jason, I'm like, wait, what? What? I didn't even remember his last name. Like, I didn't know anything about him. I hadn't seen him since I was 15 that I remember. Okay? Did not remember. So I had to look up his last name, and then I saw he works at GoDaddy. I'm like, what? I didn't even know what GoDaddy was. So I needed to message him, so I did. And I put in the book what I said. Just simple, nice message to reach out. But he opened immediately, and whoa, that was a different experience. Like the fire captain in my book, the fifth hero, if he was a 1 in difficulty, Jason was a 10. Like, I understood why I felt with the fire captain, like that was my shamanic final exam, because wow, what a big difference. So he was super avoidant of me. Like, I attract men who have an avoidant attachment style with a likely sex addiction, because I'm sexually repressed and I'm super anxious, and they're sexually overexpressed and super avoidant. They avoid their emotions, opposed to me, I was like, couldn't get out of them. So that is a perfect counterbalance to trigger our pain to the surface so that we can see ourselves, because the universe is a mirror, and we have mirror neurons for that to work out so that we can see ourselves. If I see selfishness in someone else, that is my soul showing me that I have selfishness inside of myself. I can't change the other person, but I can change myself, and that's how one way I can see myself and improve. Okay, so it's hard to get out. So and then what started coming through, and I started putting on Instagram, is feminine calling in or masculine, and at least posts about pair bonds. And I was like, I really remember thinking of this guy who's in my phone to remember that like men like him have been attracted to me previously, but I hadn't put the pieces together. There was so much pain. Okay. There was just so much pain. So I was shown that at 5 years old, and he was 7, he was 2 years older than me. I was a little blonde girl, he's a little blonde boy, cute as can be. That I was really intuitive, and I knew what soul logic was. And like soul logic is the universe is a mirror. Changes it inside job, direct with the mind, coy with the heart, and then would be all the knowledge too. So it's universal wisdom and universal knowledge, like universal truths. Soul logic that's what that is. So I started telling him, I love you, Jason. I love you. And I'm this 5, just all, bouncy little girl. And I knew, and I told him, I said, I need you to say, I love you back, because that means you love yourself in my presence. And inside work is feminine work, right? And I kept saying it, and the teachers tried to get me to stop. And I fought, and I was cursing at the teachers. And I didn't stop until he said, I love you, Carrie. And that showed me that at 5 years old, I had enough self-belief to fight to help him connect to his soul. And why was I so concerned about helping him connect to his soul? I'm going to quote a Cherokee proverb, which helps me understand myself every day. A woman's highest calling is to connect a man to his soul so he can unite with source energy. A man's highest calling is to protect a woman so she can walk the earth unharmed. I was acting from my feminine. And I kept seeing that I was calling him my masculine and I'm this feminine, but I wasn't using Jesus and Mary because that wasn't in my worldview, yet at all. So I use those names. Then I was shown a lot of other visions, but then I was shown visions from high school, things that I don't remember happening, that he hit me once and he like threw me over his shoulder, broke into my house, like raped me. Like, it was all kinds of challenging things that I was shown that I do not remember. And then the memories kept changing. Like, is this true? Is this like a dream? Like showing me I have these fears, but they never actually materialized, And then in December, my intuition told me that I'm pregnant because I remember I had a vision that he had come into my room in the condo I live now, and he's over 6 feet tall and told me it's time to have sex, it's time to get pregnant. I'm like, okay, because what else am I going to do to survive? And I walked by someone like a couple months before that looked like him outside my house. So I freaked out. And so, but I had to like interact with his soul. I'm a shaman, I talk to souls. And we went over so many things about parenting and how he would sidestep the mom and go straight to the kid. And I had to coach him how the mother is the final protection between, the outside world. So you always want to get to the kids through the mother. And it was just like so much conversation around that. And then I was still had like hysterical pregnancy when I faced my fear of being raped. And when his energy peaked at peak frustration, all the electricity went out immediately in Ventura, California, where I live. And so that made me get even stronger. So then I protected my daughters, like my energy. I just believed in myself so profoundly. I mean, I was shown that I'm the spiritual female lead of the Mossad. And my ex-husband did special work for the Israeli military. He couldn't talk for 30 years until 2023, probably Mossad. Okay, the last name was Bazaglo. Bazaglo is the most gnarly Israeli last name you can get, and it's kind of like Luciano, tough guy, And my daughters have been at his house since 2021, which I'm glad. All these red pill men came into my life, so they're protected. So there's a lot of me connecting me to Israel, but I had to believe that, okay, I'm that person, I'm that strong, because if he's, GoDaddy, former FBI, like I gotta take him, right? Me in my house yelling at his soul, I took him. Okay, did it. But anyway, I was successful at facing my fear. I was not pregnant, which was a good thing. But all this makes sense. Okay. So all of these memories then start coming back. Like on Memorial Day, my intuition guided me to finally do a background check on him to see where his home was when we were children. And it was in the same school district where I was in kindergarten. And I'm like, okay, well, that fits. And then it was also a quarter mile from my dad's house when I was 12. And my dad would never spend the night at his house because he would always spend his nights at his girlfriend's house, who's now his wife, my stepmom. So I was home alone, my brother, Jason is like league champion wrestler, over 6 feet tall, and his dad's a surgeon. And I barely remember my childhood. So, and I resonate with this statue called Emptiness. It's about a parent who's lost a child, and it's like you see the head and the arms and the legs and then the center. And I started resonating with this statue about 5-6 months ago. I saw a picture of it. I'm like, oh, that's what I felt like my whole life. But I didn't lose kids. I couldn't see yet. My soul brought that into my reality because we've resonated the same frequency. Loss of child. Where are those 3 kids? Why did I have a fear, hysterical pregnancy at the same time I'm facing my fear of being raped? Why did that happen? Okay, so a little over a week ago, 9 months after I was shown this, I was finally able to birth my truth. Called the police, had them come over. I just called the regular number. I didn't call 911. I tried to report 9 months ago, but I wasn't ready. It couldn't come out. It's hard when you have all those emotional blocks. I couldn't communicate. That's why I couldn't communicate before, because I hadn't healed enough. I had done 4 medicine journeys with psilocybin, the same year that I started talking to Tim. And I needed that to open me so much because I was just full of pain, so much pain. So, so So that's why I think we haven't spoken, and I attempted suicide, and I so much pain, but I'll learn from my healing journey. Like there's this quote, spiritual quote that I see everywhere. It's in my book. Even the box of darkness he left me with was a gift. Why? Because that's how I learned how to transform emotional wounds into personal wisdom and experience enlightenment so many times that I'm helping myself, my family, and the collective make this huge shift to be more aligned, more balanced, more emotionally stable. Okay, I did it. Yeah, it was painful. Worth it. I can finally say 55 years old is worth it. And I haven't even hit like the amazing part yet, where I get to bring all this wisdom and healing to the collective even more than I already have. So, yeah, it's hard to get it out. So about a week and a half ago, the person developing my website wasn't working out. And so my intuition's like, okay, ask GoDaddy to do it. I did it myself at GoDaddy. So I had to move slowly with Jason because super avoidant, and all this trauma between us. So I moved my domain to GoDaddy in January, and then a few months later I started developing my website, and all around, I wrote my book and all my other things along, my timeline, and so then, okay, I need a better website for my book and everything, and just talk about Mary Magdalene. So I go to sales and I just book, you book on Canly. I couldn't choose a salesperson. It was J.A. Cooper. And then about 15 minutes before the meeting, it says, Jason C. from GoDaddy will call you. I'm like, what the? Wait, huh? The person at sales was Jason Cooper. Jason C. Another synchronicity. I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. Keep going, Carrie. But this is what I have in my life. I have my intuition, my synchronicities, and that's how I'm navigating. Okay, doing pretty well so far. Still have a home and insane. So, but okay. So then the next Monday, last Monday, I got all my documents over to the design team, and they set the appointment final upload, hopefully September 22nd. I'm like, okay, yeah, great, cool. And it felt like it'd be a transmission to me. It really felt like a transmission. So, and they developed the website, and then they gave me the first draft on Friday, and I'm making some changes, and I kind of update the Mary Magdalene section to have it organized better, and they're also including a section on how I resonate with the Chumash origin story, including their divine feminine, Hutash. So I live in Ventura, California, and Tim has a house in Rincon. It's at the exact border of Ventura and Santa Barbara County line. So in the early 1820s, okay, I'll back up one second. Last fall, I was told that for the last 200 years, intuitively, the Native Americans in this area, so I know it's the Chumash, have been preparing for the return of the divine feminine. But I don't know Chumash history. I didn't take those classes in college. I learned Chinese and classical Chinese, and that kept me super busy, right? And then I lived in Israel, and then I had kids. So I am a shaman, but that just came out of me naturally. I do not know this history. I'm like, okay, I didn't look into it. But my daughter suggested my branding photo shoot be up at the cross, because I was like bringing out the Mary Magdalene. This was a couple months ago, and I'm a shaman, and okay, yeah, Chumash history, yeah, okay, that was great branding shoot, yay, thank you, Al. You can see my kids there in the background. So that just kind of got me thinking. I'm like, well, what is it? Let me look up Chumash in Divine Feminine. So I looked it up. Oh, yeah, there's an origin story from Santa Cruz Island. In the early 1820s, all of the missionaries got all the Chumash off that island. But the origin story is Hutash, Divine Feminine, created a rainbow bridge, which is a light bridge. Light, that's what energy healers work with, is light. And energy, and that light is all the colors of the rainbow. And the Chumash came over that rainbow bridge, and the ones that fell off became dolphins. A very beautiful story. And that's how they got to the mainland, so they can grow and expand. And I was like, okay, in 2021, the first time I went to Santa Cruz Island was with my older daughter. And we kayaked out there, and like the seals came right next to us, and they never do. Like, it was just really an amazing trip. And 2 weeks later, I got in this huge fight with Tim. And a week after that, I had a really random run-in. I go for drives. So I drive up the coast and I turn around right there at Rincon. There's like a small turnaround, a small gate, and there's a small community there. And I got right back on. It's like 3 or 4 seconds. So I went for a drive a week later. I get off the freeway, and right when I get back on the freeway, he pulls right up to the gate on the other side. So we're just staring at each other like, he told me never to speak to him again. I was facing my fear of men, because a week later I found that I had a fear of all men in my heart, and then I was finally able to release it. And the next day my anxiety was like gone. It felt like it was gone. I had more work to do, but my daughter noticed immediately. And he was facing his fear of women because he was afraid that I would climb over the fence, break into his house, and be so violent that he might have to shoot me. I was crying at home the whole time. And he knows my ex-husband, who had just gone to Israel. So he called him in Israel, and my ex-husband said, you know, you can be rest assured that she is crying in her bed, which I absolutely was. But that was his fear of women. And so we both faced that fear. And so it kind of felt like, you know, he had like helped me get off my island of feeling isolated, my first hero. And he's right there at the Ventura County, Santa Barbara County line, which history shows is right around where the Chumash landed. I was like, wow, like that really, like, why am I in Ventura? Why is this happening in America? And there's a lot more things to answer, but I'd like to get to the wisdom that I gained about balance, about feminine balance in my enlightenment experiences. So the first enlightenment experience, I sat down on a Tuesday evening. I started vibrating really high. I didn't really know what was happening, but I wasn't eating or drinking or sleeping or anything. And then the next morning, I heard in my head, enlightenment, enlightenment, enlightenment. And I was like, okay, I think I'm experiencing enlightenment. And then so I asked the universe, what's the wisdom? What can I learn? And so first I saw that there's the firefighters, the first responders that have a lot of mental illness challenges. And 2 of the people in my book are fire academy instructors. So I have a strong connection there. Then I saw the family. Oh, a lot of problems in the family. Oh, then I saw relationships. Oh, a lot of problems in relationships. Like everything's messed up. Like, I just take it back to the beginning, and then what? So there was God, and then what happened? Because everything just seemed messed up to me. And I'm an analyst. Like, my analytical skills are in the 96th percentile. I did risk and issue assessment at Anthem Blue Cross, Elevance now. You know, and I did exceedingly well there because I'm so perceptive and I am so intuitive. Oh, okay. And now I lost my train of thought for a second. But where was I? Wow, I lost it. Shoot. This is how hard it is for me to get this stuff out. When I start talking, I can lose it because things are so deeply repressed inside of me that they kind of get hooked in something, and I'm like, wait, where did that go? And where was I exploring? Oh, the enlightenment, right? So, okay. I was like, okay, well, you know, God is singular, but reality is dual in nature. I've done so much analysis with masculine, feminine, and what's a healthy feminine, what's a healthy masculine, that I'm like, okay, reality is dual, but, and we're made in the image of God. So how can God be singular and we're dual, right? And I'm like, okay, well, God creates and God orchestrates. I'm like, well, creation is feminine. So we've given feminine value of creation, which is, you know, creating human life, like creation, as a masculine accolade. And then we wonder where the patriarchy came from, or why women have been complaining for so long. We really need to look at this, you know, what if it's better that we see God as dual, feminine and masculine, and then that's modeled inside the home, right? Because women didn't feel valued as stay-at-home mothers for a lot of reasons. But here's something we can do about, right? That God is dual, both feminine and masculine, with both qualities. Right brain is feminine, left brain masculine. The woman occupies the center of the household, the emotional center, source energy. Kids revolve around the mom, and so does the dad. He leaves and provides and protects and comes back. She's the home base, and he's the masculine lead. So he orchestrates, she creates. And then we kind of solve this problem of men being above women. But if I look at early Christianity, and it's hard, this is a hard conversation to have. Why was Mary Magdalene so suppressed? Why was masculine above and feminine below? Why was she seen as a prostitute and then upgraded to an apostle and then upgraded to the lead apostle? She, feminine, the Cherokee proverb, women, we connect to the soul. It's the inside work. Forgiveness is inside work. That's feminine work. And Christianity gave it to Jesus, who's a man, and outside the home. Right? So I think we just need to do kind of an analysis of this. But I had to accept my value, my feminine value to create. Like when my older daughter was born, 4 weeks later, I had taken such poor care of myself and gone back to work after 3 weeks, and it was just stupid. I got bacterial pneumonia and almost died. I spent 2 weeks on a ventilator, 5 days on 100% oxygen, because I didn't value my ability to create human life. I had no idea about the other 3 from my childhood. I had no idea. But I didn't value my life. I didn't value my ability. And I remember joking, oh, pregnancy, put it away. Oh, put it back. I said terrible things that I'm so sorry for, because I didn't value myself and I projected that outwardly. And then we have an epidemic of projecting our pain right now, not understanding what's going on. So I didn't value it, but then that showed it to me. I did 2 more medicine journeys, wrote my book, and then in the fall, I was ready to receive more wisdom. So I super opened when Jason, after I reached out to Jason, and it was such a strong connection, whoa, this is different, okay, this is riding the hardest bull, okay, I gotta tame this one, this is hard, but I was up for the challenge. I prepared for it. All the hardship, all that challenge. It's I was climbing Mount Everest. I told him in my post, last December, I sent him something. I said, you were like the Mount Everest of romance. With enlightenment being Mount Everest, and I had experienced enlightenment probably 10 times by that point. Just to get to that point where I could say that and say, I'm sorry to let you talk to me in high school. That's how much pain I was in. I had to experience enlightenment, because enlightenment is where you receive wisdom, but then you face catastrophic fear. So last March, I faced my fear that my daughters were sexually abused by their dad, which they weren't. It was a fear. I was projecting it. And once I kind of got through that layer of pain, then I was ready to face my own layer of pain of my fear of being raped. And it led me back to Jason, but I hadn't put all the pieces together yet. We're completely past the statute of limitations, and I would never take it to court, even if it were possible. It's just not productive in any way, shape, or form. We were both severely abused and hurt, and our souls planned this so I could, the amount of wounds determines the amount of wisdom. Equal wounds to wisdom. So if I wanted a ginormous amount of wisdom, I needed a ginormous amount of wounds, and I own that. So no, I've worked through it. It's been very hard, but I've worked through it. So it was so strong. I asked the universe again. I said, how are masculine and feminine souls created? And so this is what I was told. There's originally a soul, and then we evolved, and we wanted to continue expanding our consciousness. So we needed to see ourselves, and the best mirror is your opposite. You don't know what tall is till you know what short is. You don't know what white is until you know what black is, right? Same concept. So we split into feminine and masculine, but how'd that happen? So I was told that the intent to create the masculine creates the feminine, okay? That how strong, how important intent is. And the feminine tears out half of her heart chakra to create the masculine soul. And I'm kind of wondering, well, why hasn't this wisdom come through? Well, we weren't ready for monogamy like that until self-healing is here. So 2 years ago, I downloaded, open up inside of myself one morning. I asked the universe, I'm like, okay, I'm around all these red pill guys, multiple women. I'm like, how can one man, multiple women create a healthy nuclear family, which is the bedrock of a stable society? And like, how can this be true? So I was told monogamy is the path to enlightenment. And I sent that, my soul sent it to Andrew and then Justin. And then 2 hours later, I was on YouTube, and Myron Gaines on Fresh and Fit um, was live ranting that they had been demonetized that same day. Like, oh, I have some influence. So the more I came into alignment with universal truths, universal wisdom, the more I help the rest of the collective come into alignment, and then things are out of alignment fall by the wayside, right? So, we've been drawing healthy boundaries, since Trump came into, we voted him in, and then Trump came in, a lot of healthy boundaries, right? And people are really doing self-reflection. What do we want? Do we want all these illegal aliens here? Do we want all this crime here? Where should we spend money? And, it's a lot of upheaval, right? But that's when you dive into your shadow and find more self-belief. That's the healing process. That's a self-growth process. So then Charlie's assassinated, and everybody's rising right up. Like 32,000 people have reached out to Turning Point because they want charters in their college or their high school, a 16-time increase of what they currently have in 48 hours. And that's just that. Like 1 million people in London get together. All the vigils across the world. South Korea, we are Charlie. I've lived in South Korea. Traditional country, very low birth rate. Very low, because they make the women go to college and do all these things. There's no time for, how can you have a full-time career and kids? You can't. It's so ridiculous. That we expect women to have multiple jobs. Like, being the emotional center of the home takes a lot of emotional work for myself, and then I got to talk to everybody. How can I do that and work 40 hours a week? Nursing alone takes 40 hours a week. So there's a lot of changes we need to bring in healthy femininity. But yes, Mary is a solution. Both Marys, and what they represent. Modesty, humility, self-love, piety. I'm a woman of valor. Eshet Halil in Hebrew. I'm valor. I'm innocence wrapped in valor. I wield my sword of compassion, cutting open emotional wounds to reveal hidden wisdom within. Men are valor wrapped in innocence, and women, we forget that. We forget that men are innocent. They want to provide and protect for us. They want us to be super feminine, so they just have to open the door for us. Like, that is healthy masculinity, that they want to provide for us because we're home, we're beautiful and natural with the kids at home, and they get to come home to, sure, some mess, but dinner and love and the smell of home. So men just left, walked away, MGTOW, gone, out of here. So yeah, we need to remember and honor where we can find healthy femininity and what that means. And there is diversity inside a healthy femininity, of course there is. But we need to honor the mother. We need to honor the mother, the stay-at-home mother, and the job that really is, and what it takes to be a mother and a wife, and to hold together a family, and the emotional wherewithal, which is tremendous, and the growth that she goes through. So, Charlie, I embrace you. I embrace Mary as the solution. I'm going to expand it to Mary Magdalene. I hope that's okay. I talked to your soul about it. We had a chat. But, she's beneath, Mary, Jesus' mother, and they're connected, and she's, my middle name. So I'm taking that liberty. I hope it's okay. Best of love to you, your family, thoughts and prayers. Blessings.